Okay, with the moon, it does this other strange thing. On a solar eclipse, you know where
Yes.
coincidentally the sun and moon appear the same size, which we're saying is a coincidence, yeah? The moon does a shadow on the Earth, yeah? Now this shadow is 70,
Yeah.
100 miles wide.
Yeah.
This is the only phenomena in our experience here in this reality where the shade is smaller than the object's casting it. So you can do a million experiments with shadows. The shadow's never smaller than the object casting it. And here we have the moon, it shrinks its shadow. The people I speak to just can't work out why this can be. It's something I can't get my head around either. Because it should be
Well, this is
thousands of miles.
This is a parallax. Yeah. So this shadow and the toy is long way from the light. Okay, the shadow is decreasing.
No, it's not. It's always the same size. It can't go smaller than the object casting it. It says tiny shadow. This word here should really say same size shadow.
Yes, it can if you do it from the top. Then the shadow is very small.
There's another image somewhere. So think of sun and clouds. The clouds will always cast a shadow bigger or the same size as the cloud. There's no phenomena in this reality where, say my pen, can we get light? My pen, and the light comes on my pen, the shadow can never be smaller than the pen. Or my bottle. Say the sun's out today.
Yeah, but look, if the sun in the zenith and you are standing under the sun, your shadow is much smaller than you because it's from the top.
Okay, say the sun was right above my head, like the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
The shadow would not be smaller than my head. You with me?
Yeah, the cross section. Yeah.
It wouldn't go smaller than my head. So say I was 50 meters up in the sky, and the sun was right above my head, and it went on me. The shadow on the ground would be the same size or a little bit bigger. This is the only phenomena in our reality where something creates a shadow smaller. This is a problem.
I don't think it's a problem. Maybe you caught me on a spot, but I have to think about it. Some of these questions are I don't solve every day.
Sure. This is what
I have to think about it.
But this is science. This is why we question things.
Absolutely. I mean, this is I don't think this is unexplained. I'm sure it is explained. I have to think about it. Yes.
This is a quick question a friend wanted me to put in. He said, with the lunar lander, there's one rocket. How would that land with one rocket when the spacecraft is asymmetric? Like we haven't seen on Earth a craft landing. I mean, the SpaceX one they say lands, but that's very symmetrical. So it's a very asymmetric lunar lander. Surely we'd have seen that being tested on Earth, or we'd see things now.
It's jumping, yes. Did you see the movie of First Man, it's called? How he practiced, I mean, in the movie, he practiced landing on this. Okay. And it was jumping like hell, like this. And he said, I will practice until I make it, so it's probably some also human skill involved in there.
Maybe a bit like when they did a manual docking with the ISS.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, this Apollo 11, it's all manual. If you go to Smithsonian, it's shocking. They use the calculator smaller than we use in our...
4 kilobytes memory.
Smaller than we have in our telephones right now. It's all manual.
Yeah, and they had when the lunar lander took off, they filmed it. You know that piece of footage? The lunar lander takes off from the moon and they created a film. It was like a 10-second film of it taking off. And my friend asks, who filmed it and who... How did that?
They left probably cameras there. That's fine.
And then went back to get them.
No, they get through radio, pictures through radio. Yeah.
So in the 1960s, they sent videos, digital videos, back across space.
Well, it's radio. So let's say they can take pictures.
But they only had a 4K memory lunar lander, and now you're saying they had like a 20 megabyte ability to capture video. This is a strange one.
Come on, we have pictures from the missions,
But as scientists, we can't take pictures as proof, can
I don't
we?
know what was the technology, but in 1960s, this is 69, okay? So there were already missions to Venus, Mars, also lunar orbiters existed. They all sent pictures. Pictures from the back of the side of the moon were sent before.
I, as an independent journalist, I can't use pictures as evidence because we can watch a film, a science fiction film, and they've got great pictures of space.
No,
You know?
no, come on. Pictures is data. Pictures is data. So of course you can fake pictures. In our time, 21st century is unique. We fake everything. So I don't think in 20th. Well, of course you can fake also all the times, or in 15th centuries as well. But if somebody, I mean, this is unethical again, yeah. So. I mean, first approach should be like, okay, you have picture, this is data. I look at it.
Yeah.
And if I have questions, I will ask, how did you get this data? Yeah. And the person who claims that this is a data, he has to provide all the materials.
That's true.
Prove that this is real data.
That's true. And with the moon mission, they said 2 years ago they've lost all the data. You remember that? They said they've lost all the data. Because some people went to say, oh, can we study the data? Because they had some questions, like I have. And they said, oh, we've lost it all. Can't find it.
This is also, this is another force called government, okay?
Things get a little shady sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes governments want to hide things, we know this. And they can say we lost it instead of sharing them, for instance. I don't know. I looked at pictures of the lunar orbiter, for instance, of the surface of the moon, and there is clearly landing sites there. You can tell me that, oh, that picture was faked, and that's why when you look at the data, it's the landing site is there. You can tell it's possible, yeah, that somebody faked that. But it's also then, of course, in this case, I can say, all right, some data faked. What can we trust here in this universe?
You would say it's healthy to trust photos and images from bodies like NASA?
Well, I mean, what can we trust then? I don't know. I mean, if we question everything,
then we end up crazy, maybe. Yeah,
we should hold on something,
Yeah.
And NASA, I think, safeguard its reputation. I would say, trying very hard. And all of us, all scientists do that. But when the government is involved, I don't know what happens. So that I can imagine that there are forces saying like, we don't want you to share this data. Sure. And then the scientists are constrained. Yeah. And then you can call it unethical from our outsider point of view. But for those people who work there, this is maybe a threat of life,
Sure.
And so it's a controversial thing.
Yeah, because NASA is a government agency.
Yes, exactly. So yeah. I don't know what they hide. I cannot prove or disprove because I'm an outsider.
Sure. Two questions about the space station. I think a year ago they had some cracked glass on the space station due to space debris. This was put all over the internet and mainstream media, but yet they still did spacewalks a week later. Would you think that's a bit dangerous to do if you're getting the screen cracked by space debris? Surely if you're an astronaut, you'd be like, hey, I'm not going out there next week because my spacesuit, I'm going to die. There's a good chance of dying.
Well, this space debris is being tracked. Not everything is known, but there are telescopes on the ground which tracking this little specks in the space and calculating their orbits. There are catalogs of this space debris, and they are like not homogeneously distributed all over. There are like packs of them, like in that, remember the movie Gravity again, like they say, oh, it's coming, like this is space debris from particular mission, and it's true that they are distributed unevenly. So there are some dangerous times and there are not so dangerous.
So you think they're just brave astronauts?
God, it's another force. You have to do things, it's your job. And of course, I'm sure the government takes all possible care that people are not damaged there. But if it's a job, you just do your job. Yeah. You given the order, you do your job. Well, I think this is
military style. Yeah. Going on to something a bit interesting here. This is recognized all around the world as the spherical trigonometry of the curvature of the Earth, yeah? So, do you prefer kilometers or miles?
I prefer kilometers.
Okay. So, if we were to look, let's try and make this brighter. If we were to look 50 kilometers, there should be 195 meters below the curvature. It's 195 meters drop. Does that make sense? So if I walked in a straight line 50 kilometers, I would have dropped.
Okay, because of the curvature.
Because of the curvature of the Earth. This is, how much is that? 195 meters.
Okay.
Yeah? So for 20 kilometers, there will be 31 meters drop. This has been verified through universities and astrophysicists. What if I told you I knew some people who, over 4 years, have done about 50 to 100 experiments, and they can see lighthouses and have done laser tests over between 30 and 60 miles. So like a laser hits a mirror across a long lake, like Lake Constance, near Constance, near here, and seeing things like Chicago's skyline from across Lake Michigan from 50 miles away. And they factored in the height of the person and all the maths, and that these people actually cannot find the Earth's curvature. For instance,
I didn't understand what they see.
For instance, I have a video here. Just want to show you some tests. So this guy has done some tests. Where are they going to be further on? And there's many. Using the P900 camera. Have you heard of this camera? It's 86 times zoom, and it's only come out recently. These people have done tests over 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, and they can see torches, mirrors, lasers, where they've done the maths, and it should be 10 meters below the curve or 20 meters below the curve. And this is getting really strange really quickly. He's saying here, he's done the maths, I verified some of it, so this should be 21 feet below the curvature. This is only over 7.53 miles, so this is 10 kilometers, let's say. He's factored in the camera height, and there are curvature calculation tools, and he's seeing lasers and mirrors. And there are people I know, especially in America, who are doing loads of these tests, and they can't find this curvature. What would you say to these people?
They have to take into account the height at which
they
stay.
They are.
And the height of the mirrors.
They are. Even if it's 50 centimeters, they're putting that into their calculations.
How do they measure the height of their own height on the Earth? They have to know it very precisely. If they want to measure 20 feet.
Sure. What they do, they're actually generous. So say they set up a tripod at 1 meter. They actually put into the calculations 2 meters.
No, I mean height, like relative height of you because Earth is not really round. Yeah, it has bumps. That's what I mean. How do you take bumps into account?
There's an oil rig one. This one's quite far. This is like 20 kilometers.
Yeah, you have to take the profile of the Earth.
So you're saying saying they're just finding a. So this is really interesting. This is 3 oil rigs, and the furthest one is 26 miles away. You shouldn't be able to see it. I mean, we can say the Earth is flat in some places and more curved in others, but these guys have done so many tests. This is 26 miles away, and the horizon's behind it. Now, they say in mainstream physics the horizon's 12 miles away. With this new camera, the P900, they're seeing things 20, 30, 40 miles away. And this is getting pretty crazy.
I don't know. This is, again, like the facts you bring, I don't know what these people are doing, first of all.
They're testing stuff with their eyes because they don't trust the governments, these people.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I don't want even to talk about this, I'm sorry.
Why don't you want to talk about it?
This goes crazy.
But this is science, right? You're a scientist.
No,
you're a scientist.
I don't accept this.
How can you not accept it? It's right in front of you. The oil rig's 21 miles away.
No, I don't. I want to have.
This is a test. It's a scientific test.
Who did this? Can I trust those people who published this picture?
I'm verifying these people. I know these people.
Well, okay, but this doesn't tell me anything.
Okay, how about you and I go to the lake one day, and we take a P900 camera, and I'll show you something really, really fucking crazy.
Well, again, there are forces in the universe, yeah? So there is atmosphere, you have to take refraction into account, you have to take geographical profile of the surface. It's not that, oh, I take a camera. You know, I have these people visiting me sometimes.
But they're not doing it, but they're doing lasers as well. You know there's lasers that cost $2,000?
I know.
And there are people who've done 25 miles, 30 kilometers tests.
I can see mountains 40 kilometers
away. Yeah, but they're high up.
Why do you claim that this is not high up?
Come on, you're smarter than this. Say you have a lake, 30 miles, water's, yeah? And you have a person here firing a laser, and you have a person here with a mirror. And
why do you claim it's on the same...
there should be curvature. With the official size of the Earth, there should be detectable curvature of about 30 meters in some cases, maybe more. And people can't find it.
There are other things to be counted. Not only just claiming, oh, there's no curvature. You have to count shape of this thing where the water is, how it feels, what's the gravity there. What is the
gravity there will be the same as the gravity everywhere.
Refraction of the atmosphere.
But okay, there's a test where a guy went back every day and did the same test because
but
of different atmosphere, different atmospheric haze.
This refraction is on average always the same.
But refraction can't make a human being jump up 30 meters.
You can see light of the sun from below of horizon.
Sure. This is like refraction, I understand this, but what they did in one test, he proved that it's not refraction because there was a tree above the person here, and you could see the tree and everything. He said, well, where does the refraction start and stop? You know, like a mirage.
Okay, so for me, it's not science if somebody says it.
But there's tests.
We have, in science, we have a system. We don't believe everything what people say or what they measure. They are publishing results in scientific papers. There is always peer review to that. And if there are questions to the results, they have to provide all the data, all the measurements. And even if it's published, it's not, if it's just somebody published this and somebody repeats it and cannot reproduce it.
This has been repeated. I could show you 50 different people.
In which journal is published?
I could tell you for a fact that mainstream science is really not happy with these people and is shutting them down. And I could tell you another thing for a fact, that governments and government websites are also not happy.
What are you claiming?
I'm just not claiming anything. I'm here to ask questions.
No,
I don't have any conclusions.
Claiming? That these results prove that Earth is not curved.
I'm not saying that. I'm not making any claims, and I don't have any labels. What I'm saying to you is, this is strange. What do you think?
I think these measurements have to be verified by scientists. It's like claiming
but everyone's a scientist.
UFO. No, not
I disagree.
everyone. We are trained. We are trained as scientists. We are trained with the analytical skills and scientific judgment. Even if we don't know something for sure, we can judge based on the other lots of knowledge of scientific facts.
Okay.
And not everyone can do measurement and say, look, I measured this. How do you prove it? I had one crazy person visiting me, taking pictures of dark places with the flash. And she was claiming there are these little dust particles which she sees on the flash picture. These are UFOs.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay,
but this is the fact.
Sure.
She took a picture of the dust particles, scattered light.
Sure.
But her interpretation was, these are UFOs.
But if 100 different people have done this test with this new camera, 86 times zoom, at lakes, all around the world, peer-to-peer, there's a place peer-to-peer in England, and they're getting the same results of missing curvature, that's scientific method, observable, repeatable, measurable. That's the scientific method. And you replying the word refraction isn't scientific method.
It is. Refraction?
Well, where's your results that show refraction explains these tests away?
I can see sunlight from the behind of the horizon when the sun is down.
That doesn't mean that humans can jump up 30 meters.
What do you mean jump?
Okay, so say this human in this tree should be 30 meters below the curvature. You can't use the word refraction for them jumping up 30 meters, the tree and the person.
How do you, why do you claim that your calculations are right? I'm not verifying right now.
I'm pretty
anything.
smart. I'm pretty smart. And
Okay,
I verified.
fine. I have to trust you. I see you first
but
time.
But that's what I say to you. I could send you some data for you
I don't
to
want
do
it.
some.
Thank you.
But that doesn't make you a scientist.
No. It means that I don't want to do this particular project because I'm interested in many other projects.
But you're coming to conclusions without doing tests. That's not very scientific.
I'm not making a conclusion. Any.
But as an astrophysicist, surely you'd want to look at something like that.
No.
Why not?
I'm not interested.
Why would that be?
Because I'm busy with many, much bigger questions than this.
And you think this is nonsense?
I think it's nonsense.
The detectable curvature?
Yes.
Our survey said...
What would be your first reason for this being nonsense?
Because it's proven curve is round.
Could you show me the scientific methods experiment that did that?
Oh yes, it's done in 2000 years ago.
Which test was this? Is this the sticks in the ground one?
Sticks in ground. Ships on the horizon.
I could show you with this camera ships, you know, they go over the curvature. I could show you them coming back.
Okay.
Reappearing.
So it works?
Huh?
So it works in your case?
What I'm saying is the human eye has a vanishing point in these tests. I'm not making any claims. I'm just trying to find things out. The human eye has a vanishing point. That's not curvature, it's the human eye's vanishing point. Ships go beyond the vanishing point and people say it's the curvature. I can prove to you today if you want, with this P900 camera, the ship comes back.
I didn't understand that.
Okay.
It's okay, fine. I'm not going to talk to people who claim that Earth is flat.
I'm trying to find answers to some very interesting
things. It's just enough for me. It's enough of nonsense. That woman was coming to me 3 times and always.
But you can't project her onto me. I'm a completely different person.
I am sorry. Do you say this picture is the data? She claimed exactly the same.
No, but this is the picture. This is video. This is video.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So if I showed you 1,000 videos,
it's interpretation.
Okay, if I showed you 1,000 videos of PhD scientists doing this, these aren't a bunch of idiots. These are scientists. A lot of them are PhD scientists. If I sent you 1,000 videos from PhD scientists doing curvature tests, you would still say it's nonsense.
PhD science in what?
Many different. I mean, some are civil engineers. Some are all sorts of different things. Some are astronomers.
Well, let them publish this. I want to read that paper.
But when they publish it, do you know what happens? It gets shut down.
Yeah, I want to read that paper.
No, the paper's not allowed to get out there. You even put a video on YouTube, they turn it off.
I'm not talking about this. This goes into a direction I don't want to talk about.
But this is science.
No.
Because it's measurable, repeatable, observable.
It's not science.
Why would you say that? Why would you say this isn't science when people are doing tests and capturing data?
Because of that woman I told you. There are pictures. These are data.
But as a scientist, you should say that was her and this is something different. No. You can't project an old issue onto a new issue.
No, I give you an example. By exclusion. Try exclude that picture was, you claim that every picture is a science. It's data, I agree. This is data, somebody recorded it.
Yeah.
What comes after data is the analysis of the data.
And that's what's happening in these videos.
How the analysis is done, and after the analysis, there is interpretation of that analysis.
I can show you hours of this.
And
This is the data, the curvature model that every university in the world goes with.
Fine.
And this has big problems.
Make these measurements on the moon. Make these measurements on the moon. Make these measurements on the moon.
How would we get to the moon? They said they lost the data recently.
And you will go to the moon yourself. Go to the moon yourself.
But we can't go to the moon.
Yeah, so what can I do?
But NASA said that last year they can't go to the moon because they lost all the data.
Well, sorry. We live on the planet with the water and the atmosphere and gravity and uneven shape. And if somebody measures something which doesn't fit exactly circle of the Earth, I'm sorry for this person, because this is idealistic model.
You think they just got lucky and found a flat area?
I don't know what, it's probably just whatever. It's randomness. They have to make, in order to prove that Earth is flat, they have to take million measurements at million places.
I would say there's about 500 measurements of lack of curvature that are very well done with calculations.
It's your judgment.
No, it's not my judgment. It's not my judgment. They exist. These tests exist.
They are claims.
No, they're they're tests.
Claims.
They're actually tests.
These are claims. If they are not verified, these are just claims.
But you're saying they have to be verified by the scientific community?
Yes.
What if the scientific community at a high level is just shutting this information down?
Well, I can tell you. You can go and collect leaves, for instance, yeah, because it's interesting. It's biology. Yeah? You collect leaves, it's biology. You come to the biologist and you say, look, this leaf is a little different than this one. How would you explain this? And he says, well, it's just natural variations. I'm not interested in this. And you say, oh, you are a biologist and you're not interested in this interesting thing. Why this leaf is different from that? It's biology, it's science, and you're not interested.
But these aren't like different leaves. These are the same different tests of the same thing coming with the same results. That's highly scientific.
I should have asked your credentials before I talk to you. I'm sorry.
Here she demanded that I stop the recording, as she was super flustered and angry. Now, before I tell you what happened, just remember what she said earlier in the interview.
This is, for me, as a scientist, we're always like, okay, there's a puzzle, there's observation, which is true data, and there's a model which cannot confirm the data. Then I'm sorry, the model is wrong. So
you would say direct experience is the king.
Yes.
So she is a contradictory mess of a scientist. And this person is one of the world's top astrophysicists. It's laughable. And regarding the oil rig, I mean, in the words of Nathan Oakley, if you're a fundamentalist religious zealot, then that's not an oil rig at 26 miles. That would be a slightly looming non-standard refraction high in a holographic projection of an oil rig from behind the reified edge of a sphere based on an R value, turning the oil rig which seems to be there into an oil rig which is not actually there. That's what you have to assert if you are Professor Dr. Bergigina, who is paid well to mind control young humans into thinking the same. So she then demanded that I delete the interview. So I secretly uploaded it to the cloud as I kept her talking and calmed her down. She then told me I would need written permission to publish this anywhere. I'm afraid that's not really waykiwayki policy, as there's a bigger picture than her theoretical pseudoscience supported on the foundations of fragile egoistic arrogance. I could say to her that anyone mind-controlling mass groups of humans knowingly or unknowingly needs written permission from waykiwayki, so it works both ways.